Our first patient is a 43-year-old man who is fully oriented and cooperative during the testing situation. His thinking is organized and clear in a controlled situation, but it becomes rambling and irrelevant during the unstructured interview. Excessive preoccupation with religion is present, and there are persistent delusions of persecution, as well as auditory hallucinations. The patient has no insight with respect to his present condition. He is functioning intellectually in the superior range. The diagnosis in this case is schizophrenic reaction. Here is the patient. How are you feeling today?
All right. I was reviewed by a doctor yesterday afternoon. I was telling him about these gummies in my feet, the strange business. It's vibrating now.
You say your teeth are vibrating?
Well, I mean, it sounds wacky. But you see, I told doctors I've had it sometimes in my teeth. But this never ever happened before. I went to Brisbane, Queensland. And then the government there just decided I was going to have some of my teeth filled. So they filled one here and one there, one here. Then I think maybe they filled this other one over here. And then I got the idea that there was someone running around there trying something, see? Trying some kind of experiment or something.
On you?
Yes, but they couldn't make it take. So they sent me back to the hospital again the third time, and we put one right in the center. Then they tried this stuff, and it's extremely irritating. It makes you want to fight. But you see, what they do is, well, I told the doctor yesterday afternoon that they've been doing this to me for a long time.
So what do you think that was doing?
Well, for one thing, if the clock is way over across the room there, you can't hear it ticking, ordinarily. But I can hear it just as loud as though it's right in my ears. Tick, 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 and just like it's shaking your head. You know?
Now, is there something in your ear?
Well, the one ear there, yes.
In that ear?
Oh, yes.
In your left ear?
Yes, left ear.
What is that in your ear?
I couldn't tell you. I've been spending a long, long time scratching, trying to get those things out, but I finally busted one out of the ear there.
Did you see it then?
No, I can't see it. The only thing I've ever seen is things like long, thin microfine wires, you know.
You pulled these out of your ear?
Yes, and then a little shortness of wire, you know.
How did they get these wires in your ears?
Well, my opinion is that they burglarized my house like a common burglar because there was positive evidence of report to police. They came in there with a surgeon, I believe.
With a surgeon?
Yes, that's what I believe.
Well, did they give you some kind of drug?
Well, I think what they did was probably bore holes in the ceiling there and drop chloroform on my face.
Well, you think they bored holes in the ceiling?
Probably bored holes in the ceiling, dropped it right down to my face.
Dropped chloroform on
Yes.
it?
If they dropped it on the floor, you know, and you kept breathing it, you know, kind of listen, you just go right
Then
out.
what do you think happened then?
Well, they probably came right into the room and performed an operation on me. What they did, I don't know.
Well, now what about your eyes?
This is what I think. They can make my eyes distort some way, but I don't see things properly. In other words, they close it from the side like that, and there's something drops down over, and sometimes the top comes down and the bottom comes down too, so it looks like there's black out there that I can't really see anything. There's sudden darkening in the sky, you know. Now,
Who is doing this?
Jehovah's Witnesses or something, I don't know.
I see.
Fanatics, you know. But I told the doctor the other day that when I was in Brisbane, after this thing happened, people using the squirt gun on me with ether, whatever it was. The squirt gun with ether, yes.
Could you smell it?
Well, the guy was, you know, through the partitions of the room there.
Why were they doing this?
I really don't know unless someone paid them money to do it.
So they're trying to kill you?
Well, you know, I read the normal psychology too. I'm not authority on that. I wouldn't want to, you know, they're president. But the whole idea is, you know, people get ideas, people are running after them, killing all this sort of thing. You know.
Well, do you think they are?
Well, if anyone puts a bullet in your head, you know, I mean, there's the proof, you know.
Now a word on major trends in this nation. We read in the Old Testament, "Behold, I have set before you life and death. Choose life, that you may live." There are more than 20,000 persons in the United States officially recorded who each year refuse to choose life, but who instead choose death, while attempted suicide may exceed 100,000 annually. Just why, instead of life, some choose death defies complete analysis. Psychologists tend to focus upon immediate inside causes: grief, guilt, anger, while sociologists tend to focus upon
often in a thing that's so complicated, people can't remember it, by example. Or I would take a 24-year-old lad at the end of my office yesterday. He's a college student. He's had all his life. His teachers have said he's a bright kid who doesn't put forth any effort. He's what the teachers call an underachiever. He's infantile emotionally. He says, I know I'm about 7 years old. I would much rather stay home. I don't get my work done. I can't concentrate. I'm failing. I'm a mess emotionally, socially. I'm a misfit. He said, in total, I am a wreck and a queer.
It's been like going to hell, and it's just like that almost daily. And often that will result in complete tiredness or desperation, or just, how can I just accept this? And there's something wrong. There's something terribly wrong.
I travelled around Australia a lot. I was a broadcaster. The only comfortable position when I was working was when I was on a broken white line driving my car and I was away from everyone. So I felt uneasy in company and I was worried about everybody else. I was paranoid about everybody else. They thought they were out to get me. I thought there was police cars coming after me after work and going to work. I got married at 25. I had my first breakdown at 27. First complete nervous breakdown. I ended up in Montparnasse Psychiatric Hospital. And the doctor said, I'm going to lock you up. And I said, yeah, no, you're not.
And what happened to your marriage?
Oh, it was a complete and utter balls up.
Completely out of the blue when I was 30, I'd been working really hard and feeling like I couldn't cope with everything, and went away to Melbourne for a week, and on the way back on the train I started telling people to get under their newspapers, there was gas in the carriage and we're all going to die. Finally my husband took the children in the car and went away because he couldn't cope with my behaviour, and I went down to the neighbour at the back of our house with $8 and asked to buy his truck to go to Queensland in it. And that's something I wanted to tell you about. All my food and drink was bitter. It tasted bitter, so I thought it was poisoned, and I could smell something in the air, so I thought it was gas. And it made it impossible for me to trust people around me. In terms of my body's biochemistry, I've been having a lot of trouble. I've been unable to sleep for 2 or 3 or 4 nights a week for 12 years. And I would just not sleep all night and go on with my daily business, and that got harder and harder. 5 weeks after I was admitted to hospital, I got a letter from my husband saying I wanted a divorce because he couldn't handle the fact that I was in a psychiatric hospital.
About the age of 13, I began to have really, really bad hallucinations. I had a complete nervous collapse. I do remember making bond with some cosmic being, I think at the time, that I would die prematurely. I think the first attempt I made was about 13. Just around the time of the breakdown I started sort of having this fascination to die, to actually die, not just to attract attention but to die. It's gone from an extent of saying, thinking childishly, what is the purpose of living, because no one loves me or no one can understand me, why am I so different from them? Until the stage where it reaches as an adult at 26 to stand in front of a mirror with a pair of large bone-cutting secateurs and holding them around my neck and saying, why don't you love me? Why don't you understand? And having really strong desires to atrocitate or to sever something on my neck in a very violent way.
Well, I thought it was the devil telling me that I was going to go to hell, and that my brain was shrinking and he was spilling up the spaces, and directive things to like put your left foot forward upstairs all the time and do this a certain way, and I get out of it by burning or cutting myself. I just don't feel real. I don't feel I'm a person. I just feel plastic type.
The first time I realised I was ill was when I was at university, and I started to become alienated from my friends and surroundings at university, and my thought patterns started to disintegrate further too. I went through identity crisis at the same time, sort of working out who I am and what I was, and I started to shop around in religious cults and study yoga and to become involved in the Hare Krishnas, which is Children of God and Divine Life Mission, etc.
What are the things you feel you're missing out on most?
An active social
There is no spirit-driven life force. No throbbing, heaving, pullulating, protoplasmic mystic jelly. The universe we observe has precisely the properties we should expect if there is, at bottom, no design, no purpose, no evil and no good. Nothing but blind, pitiless indifference. The universe we observe has precisely the properties we should expect if there is, at bottom, no design, no purpose, no evil and no good. Nothing but blind, pitiless indifference. The universe we observe has precisely the properties we should expect if there is, at bottom, no design, no purpose, no evil and no good. Nothing but blind, pitiless indifference.
Because of this one fact, the winners in life seem to have their minds made up automatically. They're propelled forward without hesitation because they and everyone else involved with them know where they're going and know that nothing is permitted to block their path. Because winners first want to win, then they discover that they're in control of making it happen. And all the images and all the goals that they've set become more easily obtained because they realize that they're driving.
The universe we observe has precisely the properties we should expect if there is, at bottom, no design, no purpose, no evil and no good. Nothing but blind, pitiless indifference. This is most clearly seen in the so-called lex, the patch of ground traditionally used by male birds for parading in front of females. Females visit the leg and watch the swaggering displays of a number of males before singling one out and copulating with him.
This could open up. McPherson back to Swan. Found action here from Sydney. This boy's very impressive. Young Saddington inside the centre square. Kicks the ball wide. Lost this time. Can't quite make the grade. Stevens.
Personal physical world and expresses it through art, through creation, through
The universe we observe has precisely the properties we should expect if there is, at bottom, no design, no purpose, no evil and no good. Nothing but blind, pitiless indifference.
Loss is as much a part of life as breathing is. If you'd like more information about how Jesus can bring wholeness to your life, why don't you write to us here at Christian Television Association, and we'll send you this booklet for free. It's called What's the Point? We finish today with a song that lets you know that
the universe we observe has precisely the properties we should expect if there is, at bottom, no design, no purpose, no evil and no good. Nothing but blind, pitiless indifference.
How's your daughter, Mr. Lagina?
She was going out formal tonight. Can you imagine that? She wanted me to wait and put the final okay on the dress. I told her what I thought didn't matter. Just impress that football player.
The universe we observe has precisely the properties we should expect if there is, at bottom, no design, no purpose, no evil and no good. Nothing but blind, pitiless indifference.
We had a son that was born with severe medical problems in 1985. 2 months later, I suffered an on-the-job injury, which put me in a vocational rehabilitation program, which went a year. At the end of that year, we had another child born, a daughter, who was born with the same medical conditions as our son was born with, and we were constantly going in and out of the hospital for this situation. My wife and a lady friend that was visiting her that day were raped in our house by a masked gunman. Things just kind of steamrolled from there. Our daughter, who was born with problems, she passed away in 1989. My wife and I divorced in 1991. Tended to go our own way. I guess some of these things brought people closer together. In our case, it kind of put a wedge in us. After the divorce, I realized I was really dealing with a lot of thoughts of suicide, and it got to be a daily occurrence.
My life was basically very unhappy. I felt unhappy. I felt that I had no worth. I felt that I didn't have any friends. I couldn't make decisions. The least little thing, if I had to go pick out a top at the store or anything, I would contemplate trying to decide if I could, which one I should get and if I should spend the money and that type of thing. There was a lot of stress in my life. Some losses. I lost my mother. I was married twice. Before anybody would say anything, criticize me, I would criticize myself. Every time somebody leaned over, you're talking about me, you're talking about me. Crying class, everybody was talking about me behind my back. Everybody was saying bad things about me. Nobody liked me.
Thoughts of walking out behind one of these hills and just taking care of all the pain from 38 was getting to be a daily occurrence.
Allow me to briefly describe the crucial facts along with their dates that came out during the post-mortem. He was married in 1969 at the age of 21. He had been out of the Army for about 6 months. In October 1971, he beat up a police officer at a football game. He kicked the officer in the groin and broke his pelvis. In December 1971, his girlfriend had an abortion. In April 1972, he was separated from his wife. In June 1972, he entered therapy with me. In July 1972, he destroyed his wife's clothing and some furniture in their apartment. And in September, his mother began drinking heavily. In October, he dropped out of therapy. In December of that year, 1972, his father almost succeeded in castrating himself with an electric drill. This was self-inflicted. I received the information from the client's mother. In February 1973, he overdosed on aspirin. In February 1973, he found out his father was a transvestite. His mother told him this. Between August and November of that year, his mother was divorced, and also in November, his mother was remarried, and he was divorced in November. In other words, the client was divorced in November. It was November of 73 that he gave as the time when he first knew of father's transvestism. The post-mortem showed that he knew some 9 months prior to this. In June 1974, he killed his girlfriend's cats by hanging one and putting the other in the refrigerator. This is not the same girlfriend who had the abortion. In June of 74, he returned to therapy, and in July, his father came to see him dressed as a transvestite. He told him of his plans to have transsexual surgery. Later that same day, he became very drunk. I saw him last on August 23rd. He had not been drinking for 3 weeks, then expressed to me how clear his thinking was getting since he had stopped drinking. He hung himself 6 days later.
We've identified and isolated what we feel are the 10 most prominent qualities that total winners exhibit in common that make them so uncommonly successful. I'm going to go through in depth each of these 10 powerful qualities of a total winner, and I'm going to build for you, in a logical, easy-to-understand sequence, the psychological foundation for top achievement in your professional and your personal life. I'd like for you to think of me as your own personal coach, your own Jiminy Cricket, if you will, keeping you up for the biggest, most important game that you'll ever play, and that's the game of life. The theme of this message is that winners expect to win in advance. There never was a winner who didn't expect to win in advance. Winners understand that life is a self-fulfilling prophecy, and they know that you usually get what you expect in the long run. The main theme of this winning quality is that winners are driven by desire. Winners are driven by desire. You know, there never was a consistent winner in any walk of life who didn't have that burning desire to win internalized. That's the secret of winning. If you desire an affluent or wealthier life, make it a habit to find out, to look at, to talk about, to use visual aids available such as home and recreation exhibits, auto showrooms, home decorator magazines, and get the full vivid details of what you want. Everybody loves a winner, but nobody crowds around a loser's locker room. Winners dwell on and hold the self-image of that person they would most like to become. They get a vivid, clear, emotional, sensory picture of themselves as if they already had achieved their new role in life. Like children playing Let's Pretend, they play the role of whomever they want to be. They see themselves standing in the winner's circle. They can feel a solid gold weight around their neck. They hear the approval of the crowd. They smell the roses in the rose bowl. They can feel the solid gold weight of the medal around their neck. And they touch the diploma in their hand. And they picture the financial rewards of success. And they relish the self-esteem resulting from their personal achievement in advance. Because winners feel like winners. Winners see through the eyes of winners. What do you see for you today? Who will you be tomorrow? Think win. Let's look at the relationship of the conscious judge level and the subconscious robot level of thinking. You know, the judge can't make a decision until clearing it with the robot. The robot checks its memory bank, which includes the self-image, and then replays available data back to the judge for action. It would seem natural that your judge would control your robot in kind of a master-slave relationship. But incredibly, just the reverse is true. The subconscious robot controls the conscious judge level of thinking, and action frequently takes place without consultation with the judge. It's as if each of us had within us a little programmable robot. But instead of R2-D2, we might more appropriately name our little robot self-image, Are You Me Too? And when people ask you why you behave the way you do, tell them that Are You Me Too made you do it. My own answer is in the form of a poem about my self-image. I have a little robot that goes around with me. I tell it what I'm thinking. I tell it what I see. I tell my little robot all my hopes and fears. It listens and remembers everything it hears. At first, my little robot followed my command, but after years of training, it's gotten out of hand. It doesn't care what's right or wrong or what is false or true. No matter what I try now, it tells me what to do. You see, you're a slave to your subconscious robot, which houses your all-important self-image. Your behavior or achievement level is usually consistent with your self-image, because there is no escape from the self-image. Some people try to blot it out with alcohol, drugs, or material extravagance. And some people try to forget the whole thing with mental depression or amnesia. But the winners in life, like you, control the setting and they change it as they desire. In time, with effort, they elevate their self-image and enlarge their...
The Darwinian process may be described as a chapter of accidents As such, it seems simple, because you do not at first realize all that it involves. But when its whole significance dawns on you, your heart sinks into a heap of sand within you. There is a hideous fatalism about it, a ghastly and damnable reduction of beauty and intelligence, of strength and purpose, of honor and aspiration, to such casually picturesque changes as an avalanche may make in a mountain landscape or a railway accident in a human figure. To call this natural selection is a blasphemy, possible to many for whom nature is nothing but a casual aggregation of inert and dead matter, but eternally impossible to the spirits and souls of the righteous. If it be no blasphemy, but a truth of science, then the stars of heaven, the showers and dew, the winter and summer, the fire and the heat, and the mountains and the hills may no longer be called to exalt the Lord with us by praise. Their work is to modify all things by blindly starving and murdering everything that is not lucky enough to survive in the universal struggle for hogwash.
Covers so many things that I find that even when I turn on tape or something, it picks up a big dove and all sort of going double O on me. Got me completely unable to sleep. Slept 3 nights, first time in the hospital, twice in a month, and I had a friend, a very close friend. He went to Sydney because he wanted to give up drinking, but he couldn't do it on his own. And when he left, I was very dependent on him. And when he left, I just freaked out.
Are you on your own at the moment, Mavis?
No, I put a friend back, but we're not talking because we're being criticised. And we're staying apart, and that's how it would have been after 12%.
Is it possible that you might need some help at this time?
Yeah.
Are you
but
getting...
I've constantly got help over the years. The drugs poison stuff, you know?
You've had drugs of various sorts.
Help after being involved in illicit drug dealing. And that's so long ago, and I said the doctor looked at so long ago. But problems I got around me, I decided what I would do. As though it was something, even though I've constantly got psychiatric help.
Are you receiving help now from any psychiatrist or doctor?
Well, I don't, you know, doctors actually say the other side of the couch. It's sort of an American thing, you know, the doctors just send you away with tablets and, you know, don't do any good and all that. If I do one thing, then you've got to, I found once I had to sort of try through taking the tablets rather than taking
But you know, I don't think...
time.
But doctors don't just hand out tablets, do they?
Well, they do. They turn their brain out, you know? No capacity, you know, like, no capacity to think, plan.
I have some inkling and understanding of what you're saying. But nonetheless, it occurs to me as you're talking that your thoughts are a wee bit muddled up and a bit carried away.
Well, I didn't know what to say to you. I haven't rehearsed or, you know, or anything what I was going to say. It's just coming out of my mouth, you know.
It's just coming out.
And I said, you know, what people actually say, oh, he's saying, and I try to prove that I am being dubbed, that I can't speak away. Hear voices from other places other than myself. All those schizophrenic reasons for not understanding what I'm saying. I don't understand when somebody criticises me and I say you're not making sense.
It would never be my intention to criticise you. I would leave that to others who presumably would feel that they could want to. But I do think that at the moment it is possible that you might well be going to need to give the medical profession another chance, don't you?
Well, you know, right now, I'm talking. I could be having a friendly conversation with somebody. I'm talking because I've been through the program tonight, like we said about the clockwork healing, and I've been through that tonight. It's a shock. I've been sitting in my room in the dark for 5 hours. I've been doing this for the last 3 years, and the doctor took my injections right down to 12, and they were nearly working, and I got healthy, and because I've been very sick, you know, constantly drugged.
Well, Mavis, I'm glad that you felt able to call us tonight. I do hope that you're able to find some sort of help and above all some peace. But I thank you for calling us tonight. Good night, Mavis. Good night.
Songs of all time and the things we do for love, 10cc. The things we do like coming on the Love Shack. You go searching for it. Why not? It's a bit of fun. 16 to midnight with Marty Hegney. One time for one final person to join us on the Love Shack here. We have codenamed this fella Spotlight. Hello there, Spotlight.
Hello, Maggie. How are you?
Good. It's actually Marty, not Maggie.
Oh, sorry about that. I'm a bit nervous.
I know you're nervous. All right, Maggie, Marty. That'll do.
Yes.
Spotlight, you're in Melbourne's northern suburbs.
Yes, I am.
Okay, and what colour hair do you have?
I have black hair.
Long or short?
Short.
Okay, and what colour eyes?
Brown.
And, oh, by the way, how old are you?
33 years old.
33 years.
Haven't been kissed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, good heavens, it's about time you found somebody then.
Oh, sure it has.
Now, what's your height, Spotlight?
Oh, I'll be about 5 foot.
5 foot, is that all?
Yeah.
You're a bit of a shorty, aren't you?
Yeah. A bit further up I am. I'm not too sure.
Oh, okay. Probably a little bit taller than that.
Yeah.
And are you slim, average, or a
Chubby.
bit cuddly?
Yeah.
Oh, good. You've never been married before?
No, I haven't.
No, no kids?
No.
All right, what sort of work do you do?
I work as a packager. Working in packaging.
Packaging?
Yeah.
All right, okay, that's daytime type thing in the spotlight? All right. What sort of interest and hobbies do you have?
I like ballroom dancing, walking on beaches, down in the high priced restaurants.
Now, do you have a car spotlight?
No, I haven't.
Okay, where would you take a lady on the first date?
I'll take her to a romantic restaurant.
Lovely restaurant. Wine her and dine her. All right. What age group lady are you looking for, spotlight?
Between 30 and 34.
30 to 30.
Up to 40, whatever.
Oh, up to 40. So let's say 30 to 40 then. All right. Now, would you mind if she was a smoker?
I prefer a non-smoker.
Yeah, okay. And what else are you looking for in a partner?
Happiness.
Yeah, somebody that's always happy?
Yeah, always truthful. I like to stay further one day.
Oh, yes, looking for something long-term, are we?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Well, Spotlight, thank you for chatting with us, and I'm sure we'll get some letters.
Is there another comment or question along the network as we wind down here?
Jones?
Yes, please.
Is there such a thing? I heard Mr. Martin say that all of us has suicidal tendencies. Is there such a thing as a socially approved way, like in the case of the foodaholic or the workaholic or the alcoholic, a socially approved way of committing suicide on the installment plan?
Statistic-wise, there are in excess of some 20,000 plus deaths by suicide in the United States each year, at least recorded by medical examiners and coroners who are charged with this responsibility. Or, to put it in more concrete terms, every 24 minutes, someone dies in the United States by killing himself or herself. There are 60 such occurrences per day, or 22,000 plus times a year. There may be as many more which are not reported. In Buffalo, the most recent statistics from the medical examiner's office show that there were 75 deaths in 1974 and 90 which were reported in 1975. 10 times as many make the attempt each year, or 10 or 11 per 100,000 of population make some attempt or gesture. In our own hospital, we just completed a study of the last 3 months of the year in which it was shown that over a period from October to November, there were 237 suicide attempts or other related suicide attempts. What it meant to us in our hospital was that every day of the world, there are at least 2 people who present themselves at our emergency room who have made a serious attempt at killing themselves. This is one hospital. There are 11 other general hospitals in the community, 18 such other institutions that may have potential suicide statistics, so the figure is not an illusion. What is going on in a society or an individual which would cause him to die by his own hand? Suicide is not the result of one causative factor. Persons who attempt or succeed at suicide don't say one day, "Life is no longer meaningful to me, I think I will kill myself." My experience suggests to me that it's much more complex than that. Suicide is preeminently the desperate act of one who does not care to live, or as Menninger says in Man Against Himself, it's an attempt to escape from an intolerable act, an intolerable life. Other factors which impel persons to self-destruction are increased stress and some significant loss. Poor health may also be a factor at times, but the most persistent factors are adolescent turmoil, middle-age depression, and the hopelessness, helplessness of the elderly.
He would have, not been very pleased with you, I don't think.
No, but I mean, sort of, those memories sort of compared, right through to the computer keyboard where you sort of choose your, do all your shopping at home. It's quite a fascinating subject, the range of shopping. I love going into supermarkets and, I know where everything is in the supermarket, particular ones that I go to, and it doesn't take very long to shop. And you can look down an aisle, and if you see a family stuck in the middle talking, you can sort of skip round the aisle and come back up the other way and go out again, working your way around through the different sort of areas like the cloth bazaars. You can compare all the silks and the cottons and the wools and so on like that.
That's a completely different sort of shopping, though.
It is, but it's all part of that lovely, glorious perspective of shopping.
It takes up so much of our time. I mean,
well, it's a very important facet of your life.
You drive down the streets and there's hoardings with advertisements on. You read newspapers, magazines, and you've got all sorts of products leaping out of you, and it's all to do with shopping.
You know, I have a little sideline of selling maps, and you know, you get some of those board games that come out. There's a lovely board game called Occupation. I bought one and I've never seen it since, and no one else has ever heard of it. But it's, you know, a game that was far superior to Monopoly, and
it's all disappeared into the ether in a sense. Between you and me, that's probably worth a bit of money now. Led me into the subject of collecting. Speaking to people who collect things, and maybe we'll hear about your game Occupation. I'm sure there are people that collect board games. John, thanks for calling in, and thanks for holding on. John was holding on for a very long time.
Suicide seems to occur most often early in the morning, at the start of each week on Blue Mondays, in the springtime of the year, April or May, during economic depressions, during times of peace, showing the second profit, when grief and solitude is
We interviewed about 500 dying patients, and in the last few years I have worked almost exclusively with dying children. Each time we have interviewed a patient, we take the patient back to his or her room, and then we sit together and we ask each other about our own gut reactions. And it is very significant that the more we listen to these patients, the more we learn to come to grips with their death, the more we become comfortable with our own finiteness. I will try to summarize now what we have learned from these interviews. I think the most important, significant contribution these patients have made is the fact that we have learned that patients do want and can talk about their own finiteness, that they do know that they are dying, and that includes about 200 patients who have never been informed about the seriousness of their illness. Patients not only know that they are dying, but they can also convey to us when they are dying, if we are able to listen to them, and if we learn to understand what we call nowadays the language of dying patients. A small number of patients is able to talk in plain English about their own dying. Patients who can say, my time comes very close now and it's all right, or pray to the Lord that He takes me soon. Those patients convey to us that they have at least partially come to grips with their own fear of death. Those are the patients that